Welcome back to the Fanspeak Network. This is another episode of Talking Ball with Steveospeak, and we are going to get into a Husky draft and more in just a little bit. First, I'm going to let some people get in chat. If you're coming in from Twitter, of course, jump over to YouTube, hit the like button. We appreciate the support as we are coming down to the last few weeks of best ball season before the start of the regular season. While we wait for people to filter in, so far Underdog, outside of the Flock Fantasy, which is the last one filled, they haven't released anything new. Or I guess, there's another one today. They're releasing them, I think, every like Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, something like that. I believe I heard. So this just came out. We will not be doing that, but these have been filling within 36 hours, so to speak, 4,800 entries, but I've not been really doing those. We still have the MMG contest. I still have one more of these to do. It is 85% filled. It slowed down a little bit with the release of the puppy, but I think it's a very strong contest. I do recommend for those trying to get a pretty solid prize pool to jump into that. At a low dollar and low max opportunity. Puppy 3 is going strong. They released this on Friday, last Friday. They released this with the not Greyhound, what was it? Not the Great Dane, the $250 Great Dane. There's only a little over 530 entries, but that filled by Sunday, I believe it was. So that filled quickly. The Puppy 3 is filling. It's at 40% now. So it's going to fill probably, by next Monday. We'll see what else they release. The Husky, that's the first thing we'll do tonight. I have 4 more to go. It's not filling as fast as the first one. I think people realize they didn't have to rush it like last time. So that's part of it. And of course, having the Great Dane, I think people focus on that. And then we have the ones that have been there from the jump: Marathon, Best Ball Mania, Eliminator, Big Dog, and Sprint. They're all still going. Marathon and Sprint needing some help right now to fill. I think there's a lot of edge there. Meg and I are big fans of these contests, so we'll be doing a lot more of those. Let me hit up chat, and then we'll jump into the first draft of the night. Husky Hammer usually didn't work Tuesday night, so everyone should feel lucky to have this happen. You need a solo stream intro. Yeah, maybe. I could use the general Fanspeak intro, but happy to just talk to the people. We got Tim in here saying, "You the man." Steve, appreciate you, Tim. Got my sister in here saying hi. We got Who Hames in here. I did 3 hours earlier with Who Hames on his channel, recapping all the preseason games from this past week. Had a lot of fun doing that. I think we're going to do it again next week, so look forward to that. Hope you're doing well. Who Hames, hope your drafts are going well. Tim, rankings are awesome. Yes, Meg and I released the rankings yesterday. Update keeps me away from drafting guys that have a lot of risk. Yeah, that's one thing we try to do for sure. We got OMG or Godlike in here, saying yo, hope you're doing well. Kicks in here. Good evening, good show with Who Hames earlier. Yep, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. So we are going to get into a Husky in just 1 second here. Pull it up. For those who are unaware, Husky, $40 entry, 10 max, 3 of 12, 2 of 8, 1 of 6, 117 person final. Definitely one of the best pound for pound advance rates, not just in the first round, but throughout the whole thing, 25%. And then you get to 117 person final and you have a shot at 50K. You have 6 people, 6 of the 117 will have a 5-figure payday. That's really nice. And for, to max this would be $400, which you get for just making the finals. And 40 of the people will get a 4-figure payday, $1,000. So nice little profit, whether you're doing 1 entry or 10 entries. You can really profit in this tournament. So we are going to enter and we'll count it down in 5 seconds. And we'll enter in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. All right, no location error. Always good to see. Waiting on 3, waiting on 2. So this should fill in a second. And hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone's drafts are going well. We definitely have some news to keep talking about. Not just preseason stuff, but injury stuff. Jordan Love is now dealing with the procedure. Packers and 49ers. It feels like it's easier to talk about who's healthy versus, who's injured, because so many people are injured right now. In fact, Ames and I, we talked about Watkins, the rookie, having a nice preseason game. And then I just saw, and I'd seen this yesterday, he got injured. And so he's going to potentially miss some time. So, it is tough in these streets right now with so many injuries out there. We definitely got some friends and family in this. We have Steveospeak in here. We have Go Arizona Cards, No Bo Sox, and Young Mula. So appreciate everyone. If you guys are in here, please jump in chat, say hi. But good seeing everyone in here. This should be fun. 3 of us can advance, so good luck to hopefully 2 other people in here drafting with me. I'm in the 6th spot. Likely will go with one of the top 6 guys for these mid-high dollar contests. Not really looking to mix that up too much. Jumping in chat, J Lives. Hi, Steve. How's it going, J Lives? Hope you're doing well. And then Young Mula, GAB Sports. So the guy in the 12th spot. Hey, all. Good evening. I'm in. Yeah, good seeing you. Good luck to you. Hope you have a good draft as well. So we are off. Nothing too out of the norm so far. Really, the only guy I would consider bringing up would be Christian McCaffrey. But let's see what just gets back to us naturally. I will just stick to Jefferson. I don't think I have as much Jefferson in some of these higher dollar ones. I need to look that up. But let's bring over the combo tool. And so Jefferson, I have a decent amount. I have 44 lineups. And this is what's so nice about Best Ball Overlay. Use code Fanspeak, get 25% off. Such a great tool. Easy to track your exposures, your dollar amount, and total number of teams. You can then look at the combos. You can sort by tournament. One thing that is tough for me is I have a lot of slows going, including some of the higher dollar stuff. So Chow Chow's going. I believe all my Dalmatians finished. And I think I still have a couple of Bulldog 2s going. Among higher dollar stuff, even I do have a fair bit still out there. So that stuff isn't tracked yet. But still, I can get a good snapshot of where I'm at on Jefferson and a team build. So coming up, terms available, not expecting Puka or Chain, but obviously a very little combo there. JT and Lad, I have much bigger combos of. Those are later guys. I should have focused on ADP. So Chain, London, AJ Brown. I have 0 London with him. I mean, if somehow he falls back, that'd be nice. Brock, not sure if I want to go Brock here. I don't hate elite tight end in a format like this, but I don't know if they have as much upside. So coming up in 2, AJ Brown goes. It is kind of chalk. I'm going to pull up Chase Brown here. 2 reasons. One, I'm low on Chase Brown to begin with. I don't think I have him a lot of higher dollar stuff. And with Justin Jefferson, I don't have that combo. It's a top tier offense, 2 top tier offenses potentially. And Chase Brown, we really liked what we saw in the preseason. He got full usage with the starters, one of the few total starting units that played. And we really had to like what we saw with only P ranking a very limited work. So sorry about that. So we are back up in a few picks. Let me check in chat real quick. We got Latomsky in here. Ola, hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's shouted you out earlier. Always good drafting with you. Good seeing you. Got Mr. Nick 13. I've been slamming a limb before it fills in the next few days. Yeah, it looks like it will fill shortly. I'm gonna get a few more in. I'm not going overboard with the limb. I did do a fun draft last night with Candyman, and I enjoy the format, and I think there are some edges there. Just not something I'm gonna have a massive share on or a ton of entries. Let me make this pick, and then we will answer questions in chat. So, Marv falling is interesting. I'm going to go Josh Allen, though. I think elite quarterback is really strong for this format. I like that combo. Just Marv, as much as I like him overall as a player, it's just he might be the number 2 option in his offense. Maybe he's the number 1. Either way, there's some questions around the offense. I'd rather feel certain about quarterback, particularly as the quarterback position's gotten a little squeezed. The Colts situation is much more up in the water, or up in the air, I should say. The Rams situation, we're not feeling too great about that right now. So, I like knowing having some certainty. How often are you getting DK and drafters drafts in? So I haven't done any fast DK today. I've done a couple fast drafters, and partly drafters is promo going on to do a fast today to get some tickets and a pick'em ticket as well. So still time to do at least the 10-day part of that. But yeah, I'm still doing a lot of those slows. Those also, their slow clock changes later. It can get down, it can be tougher, but you have some more time before their slow clock whittles down to a lower time. So it's a little easier to still do the slows on those sites. We'll be up in a few picks, then I will get back to chat. So I'm at 111. I like that kind of build a lot. I'm not going to get an elite tight end here with Kittle going, but it feels good to have, potentially wide receiver 1, quarterback 1. I don't think Chase Brown's going to be RB 1, but in that offense, he could easily be a top 5 running back. So we are going to go Pickens. I was basically deciding between Pickens and Worthy here. I will go Worthy. I'll let Hall fall. Maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. I have some questions about Breece Hall, just where he's going. I like him better in the 4th round than the 3rd. But in a contest like this where I want some more certainty, I actually feel very good about Worthy. Even after Rice comes back, I think Worthy could be very strong. And in the meantime, while Rice is gone, I think Worthy could just smash early on, and that could help ensure that I'm a top 3 team here advancing. So Eddie, I'm back to you naturally. Yeah, no, Eddie joined us in the Who Games no, I was in the Pounders chat earlier. We got Hartman in here saying GM. Hope you're doing well, Hartman. How are your drafts treating you? William, one in here. Good evening, fellas. How's it going, William? Hope you're doing well. Losimo jumping in here saying, hey, forget everything you know about ROI and Max the Eliminator. That's what it would take. It's especially tough when you see contests like the marathon and sprint that have much better ROI. Not only could we get some promos for them, but there could be overlay there. So even making those contests even better. Latomsky taking Travis Hunter. That's exactly where I wanted to go. I am going to take James Conner here. Conner or Kamara, I think, are fine picks, but Conner, we saw that split in Arizona. He still looked to be ahead of Benson. Benson didn't, to me, distinguish himself too well in the preseason game. He was fine, but nothing that has me worried that he's going to really eat into the role. Hartman with the alpha take. Yeah, absolutely. Thoughts on Ray as a last round click with Mooney possibly being out a long time? Yeah, I did see the comments where was it the coach or the offense coordinator said Mooney will be back we hope Mooney will be back at some point this year. Not ideal what you want to hear, especially when you have pretty decent exposure to Mooney, and I've been buying the fall even a little bit. I'm still hoping it's not too serious, but no, I've been clicking Ray even before the Mooney injury, and definitely now. If Mooney misses some time, I think Ray can be strong. I think he's a strong floor play. I don't think there's a massive ceiling there. I think he's like kind of like a Wan'Dale Robinson type. He's gonna get a ton of targets, decent yards, catches yards, and touchdowns are going to be more limited. But might even have more juice than Wan'Dale, more vertical ability. So yeah, I think as an 18th round click, I think Ray is very strong, particularly if you have some rookies or maybe some other some real spike weeky guys like Alec Pierce or Darius Slayton or some guys like that who one week could get 20 points, the next week could get 0 points. I think Ray is going to consistently be in that 7 to 15 range. I wouldn't be shocked if he never has a 20-point game. Now, maybe with Mooney out, that changes a bit, but I'm not buying him for the 20-point games. I'm buying him to help me advance, help me cover my bases, particularly during bye weeks, particularly, with, like I said, some of those more riskier guys. Coming up here, he's definitely a guy I want, and Go Arizona Cards takes him with Mbuka. I don't feel I need to go running back here. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers. I'm actually more bullish on Myers than I think a lot of people. I'm only at 7%, but I think he is the wide receiver one on this team. And this is a team, last year he had really good fancy numbers down the stretch. Not the highest ceiling guy, but more high teens. Last year he had 1 20-point game. This year, I'm guessing 2 to 3. But here's the thing. That's the exact same profile as Zay Flowers. And we take Zay Flowers, 15, 20 picks ahead. Now more like 15. And I get Zay Flowers is with Lamar Jackson, but Jacoby Myers did this last year with Brock Bowers, so nothing's changed there. In fact, he had Devontae Adams early in the year, and then his quarterbacks were Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Geno Smith is a big upgrade there. I think the offense coordinator and the offensive system is a big upgrade. And, Thornton and Betch are not Devontae Adams, and granted, they'll play the whole year versus Adams just a short stint. But I think Myers is a little undervalued. And also I feel like he's got a very strong floor. He can be very consistent. And I'm going to, in a contest like this where advancing is so key, making sure I'm in that top 25%, I'm going to target a guy like that. And also allows me to set up this. And this is, let's get my upside play here. I know it's a double stack, Addison and Jefferson, but I love the fall we're getting on Addison here to the late 70s. That to me is a screaming value. Ideally, not leaving any mysteries here. I'm probably targeting JJ McCarthy as number 2 quarterback to Josh Allen, but getting Addison at 78, if he was not suspended, he would, I think, to go top 55, top 60 at worst. And now we're getting him at 78. Yes, he'll miss the first 3 games, but I can survive that, especially with Worthy. Jefferson hopefully is healthy, and I expect him to be. And Myers, I can definitely survive the first 3 games. And throughout the rest of the year, I think Addison is going to be a top 25 receiver. So pretty good value to me. Are you worried about Hampton with the split carry thing? No, I mean, look, it's a reality. Even Derrick Henry was sharing time with Justice Hill. Now, Henry, from a fantasy perspective, Henry just dominated touchdowns, as one would expect, and long rushes, as one would expect. Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, these guys who were averaging 80, 90% of touches. Even Saquon didn't have that much. I think he was like 75. They're just rare. They're so rare nowadays. And I think usually it's because of a situation like Chase Brown where Zach Moss gets injured. They bring in Khalil Herbert. He doesn't fully know the system. He gets banged up. And so they just go with Chase Brown. They don't mess around. I think most backfields are like that. I mean, we always expected with Najee, it would be a split. There'd be some split work. If it's Kamani Vidal or, some of these other backs, I'm not worried about them really eating into Hampton's workload. So coming up in a few picks here, I now go to the board after this one. See what Arizona Cards does. He takes Mahomes. Obviously, I could have gone that direction, but I think I'll wait, and I will take Higgins here. The other reason why I've been targeting some of these more receivers early is, we do, Godwin, there's more and more questions surrounding him. Darnell Mooney, questions surrounding him. So I wanted to get 2 running backs I felt really good about, really confident in, and I will build out the rest of the room later. And now my receiver room feels very strong. And Higgins is another guy. Yes, he's a rookie, but I feel I have 4 really good guys to handle those weeks when Addison's out, and I think I'll be fine. I see. Sorry, I missed that, Eddie. Go Arizona Cards 17 is not watching the stream, so please announce your picks 2 to 3 spots prior, especially coming up from the end of the draft. Appreciate you being in here, Charles. Always good seeing you. Apparently, Najee participated in drills today. My 3rd round Hampton and limb bags are not liking that. I will say I think Hampton and a limb is pretty strong. And Hampton in general is pretty fine. Najee did participate in drills, but my guess is it's a couple week thing before he's like really ready. I'd be kind of shocked if he's ready for week 1. From the sounds of it, like it was just some drills. It wasn't even like a full practice workload. At least that's the vibe I was getting. I could be wrong on that. But I kind of expect it to still good for Najee, good for him not being like out for the year, anything like crazy like that. But I would not be worrying about particularly my limb bags on Hampton. I think Hampton's pretty strong in that regard. Rise Gino is fair tech. Yeah. No, it's Gino, he's been moving up some with like the Stafford injury and some other stuff, but very cheap for a guy who can be a top 20, top 15 quarterback. I mean, a couple of years ago, he was extremely good. But since then, he's been solid. He's been fine. So where did Yeah. I'm going to get tight end here. Ingram, I know he split a little work in preseason game, but I think they paid him for a reason. I think he'll get a lot of targets in this offense. I want to be a believer and buyer. Excuse me, in the Denver offense. One downside with double tapping the Vikings and getting Higgins, of course, 3 week 6 buys, in my portfolio, and I want to kind of just probably manage that across the board. I don't want week 6 to be, just a total dud week for me. Pittman, Cup, Charbonnet, Scatterboo, May. So there's some playing guys here. Bateman's still there. So there's actually better receivers than I thought there would be. Where did Coleman go? I missed that. I was hoping he'd come back to me. He did not. Oh, he went early. He went to Lundar at 83. Yeah. So let's get back to chat real quick. Looking at my early drafts of a team where I have Keenan, Dobbins, Ford for free. Yeah, those guys all used to be 100% for free. So definitely could get some good values early. Mason Taylor being back already is crazy. And man, dude, that could be the breakout tight end easily over Level and Warren because there's only one weapon around him. I agree. I was worried. I'd taken a little bit of the dip on Mason Taylor, but I'd kind of backed off because, ankle injuries like that. I mean, it could have been like it leads into week 1, right? And no, I think it's very much positive that he's back already. As for him versus Loveland Warren, I think those guys do still have higher upside. Also, just, well, maybe not Warren, but probably better quarterback play. I just don't love this range at running back. Ray Davis would be a reach. I will take Bateman here. Really stack up my receiver room. Because we're getting to the range of receiver where we don't feel good about it. And that's not what I want in a $40 draft. I could have taken McCarthy there, obviously. And if he gets back to me, I'll take him. If he doesn't, I'm not gonna worry about it. I have Josh Allen. I invested him in a reason. But it just wasn't something I wanted to pull up when I just needed to be 3, at ADP. Or a couple of picks past ADP at my ranking, I guess I should say. So splitting carries is always a worry. Look at Bijan his rookie year. No, I mean it is, but I think most people would still say Bijan split carries last year with Algier, and he did, and but he was still a top 5, 6 running back. Gibbs obviously splits carries with Monty. Like basically every back does it. Every now and then, of course, an injury. For instance, look, Gibbs was in 4th when before Monty went down, but he rose up even more when Monty got hurt. There's a few exceptions like Jonathan Taylor. Maybe Giddens can earn a little bit more workload than what we saw in the past, but pretty much I'd say every back is splitting carries. So I get McCarthy back. That feels good. Get my second quarterback. I do need to catch up at running back now. But that will now be a focal point. All right. We got TD, Mr. Mufasa in here saying, "What up, Steve? How are you doing, Mr. Mufasa? I hope you're doing well." We get that on real-time QBs matter. That they do. So I don't mind taking these elites, especially in the 3rd round when there's so many question marks with some of the receivers and running backs in that range. Uheems was more about the injury plus reports early was Fields was struggling. Yeah, and look, Fields looked good in the preseason game. I think the reports on him struggling are still fair. I mean, like we don't expect Fields to go out and be, Lamar or Allen or anything like that. Like he didn't show that last year with the Steelers, which was the best offense around him that he's had. He never showed that in multiple years with the Bears. Yeah, I think we should just hope that he's an average quarterback, but just a big fantasy asset due to his legs. We got Fantasy Dog in here, number 20 like. Appreciate you, Fantasy Dog. Appreciate you always shouting out the legs. Yep. Glad to be in Taylor transfers with you, Eddie. Yeah, no, I think Taylor, I have a good share. Like I said, I've been whittling down some Mason Taylor, but I'm still over 10%. So coming up here, Taj Spear is definitely not looking at him with everything he has going on. Running backs are getting pulled up. Don't like that. So I'm going to just take a stack here. Dalton Kincaid, him and Ingram. This will probably be a 3 tight end build. I want some Kincaid. It's past, low past ADP, about around past ADP. So I think it's a good solid pick. Running back will obviously be a focus going forward. Just didn't feel like reaching up on anyone, other running backs that already gotten pulled up, like Braylon Allen, some others. Splitting carries is a wide range. Exactly. What about Shador? No, Shador had a good game. I think he's in the mix to battle for the number 2 role. And I think the one thing we shouldn't be totally shocked, Shador is always going to show better, I think, in live action in game, because he's not, though he actually scrambled nicely. He's obviously not the fastest. He doesn't have the biggest arm, doesn't have like big velocity. But he's going to show up. He shows up in clutch moments. And, obviously he's been around the game his entire career or his entire life. So I think that helps considerably. So coming up here, I'm going to pull up Jerome Ford. It is sounding like he is the starter. I think it's him and Sampson, but I will take Jerome Ford. And I think both are good picks. Like I've been clicking a lot of both lately. It does not sound pretty about the whole Quinshon Judkins situation. There's very real outcomes where he does not suit up at all this season. And even if this is just early season, 1, I think Jerome Ford could maintain a role throughout the year. But 2, even if it's just early season, anything to help me advance, get through, some bye weeks, all that. So yeah, I'm still pretty bullish on Ford. I question the Browns' offense in general, but I think Ford and Sampson are both good clicks at their current ADPs. Saquon is Hurts, Henry is Lamar, Taylor is A-Rich, Alston carries outside of backup running backs as well. Yeah. No, and that's honestly one of the issues why I mentioned, like, I didn't take Hall. It's not that I think Hall's not a talent, but it's a couple things. One, I do think Braylon Allen is pushing him for like that Monty role, the goal line work. Isaiah Davis worked in some of the passing work, which is not good because I think Hall needs to overperform in the passing game to make up for probably his lack of touchdowns. And we do know Justin Fields steals a lot of touchdowns, from his running back. So it works when it's a top tier offense, like Buffalo, like the Ravens, like the Eagles. But if you're a mid-tier offense, then we start running out of touchdowns. So let's see what comes back to me. White does go to no Bo Sox. That's a solid pick. Corey Krosky Merritt going in the top 160 is pretty still bullish in my book. I don't have. I will take Gino. I like having a third quarterback in a higher dollar league. I have a stack built out already. And I am going to look at this. I can't go only 6 wide receivers with 3 wide receivers on the same bye. I could still end up at 2 tight ends. I don't love doing that with Ingram and Kincaid. I wish I was feeling stronger about my running back room. We'll see how these next couple picks turn out. Store is that approved? Well, he's definitely Browns fan approved as well. I still think Flacco starts the year, probably has a fairly good run. But yeah, I mean, Shador keeps playing like this and performing like this, he will probably be the guy in there at the end of the year. Could you use the Shador or start a BBG stream? Got a little heated. Number 130. Yeah. Yeah, no, Braylon is getting steamed up considerably. Running backs are getting steamed up. This is, not ideal. Now, had Charles left me Dowdle, I would have taken him over Gino, but that didn't happen. Oof, boy, I do not like this situation. I'm gonna go Jalen Wright. Hughes and I talked about earlier, and I think, look, Ollie Gordon might be better than Jalen Wright, but at the same time, Madison did get hurt. Madison's out. Ollie Gordon was a late round guy. Jalen Wright, they have talked him up more this offseason, but I don't love him. I honestly don't love him as my 4th back. I like him more when I'm taking him as my 5th back, or I know I'm doing 6 backs. But boy, running backs are flying in this room, as GAB mentions here. Ford a smash for a limb week 1 Cincy. Oh yeah, I think we're seeing anyone playing Cincy's defense is going to be a smash. Currently, he's going to lock out that Cleveland running back room. Thanks for allowing me to do that. Thing is, Eagles, Ravens have top O-lines and great offenses. Even if yards and carries regress, they will still fall into the end zone. Yeah, and that's what I was saying, and that's what it boils down to is these teams that are top offenses, even if a quarterback or a second running back or both are eaten into the workload, there's just enough scoring to go around. And just enough yards, enough catches, enough scoring to go around. Even if we assume James Cook doesn't have 15 rushing touchdowns again, his passing numbers could go up. They actually regressed last year because Josh Allen's passing numbers regressed. But what happens if Allen normalizes and those go back up again? I think he becomes a clear beneficiary. All right. This is rough sledding. I'm going to take Miles Sanders here. Don't love the Cowboys situation, but he is back at practice. Jane Blue is banged up. But I think nobody knows what the Cowboys situation is. I still think they're the most likely team to, if they add anyone, they could quickly become RB1. But who knows if they will? I mean, people thought they would add people all offseason. They did not. But we might need to add a 6th running back to this room. It is not feeling strong. I will tell you that. Fanspeak is getting steamed up. I appreciate that. No nonsense. Hope you're doing well. We are 7 picks away in this one. Oh boy. Boy, Quorum moving up to the 16th round. He had been kind of locked into the 18th round of late. I had not been taking a lot of them, but he did look good. He had 2 touchdowns. Looked to be ahead of Hunter, though Hunter showed a little bit more splash upside, just natural speed. I think Ford is arguably this year's Chuba. That's fair. That's a fair take. I do think Samson factors in as well. And it could be both have some pretty decent fancy value. But, I mean, sure, ideally you'd like one to consolidate into like a Chuba. What do we got coming up here? So anything but week 6 buy for receiver. Tight end. Oh, Mason Taylor there is tempting. I think I really need to wait and see what is left for me in the last round. If there's a running back worth taking, I might pull the trigger on them. If not, maybe I go tight end. Usually there's at least 1 or 2 viable tight ends here, but I will take Slayton to finalize my receiver room. Another guy I've always been high on, and I just think I do take him in a few more higher dollar leagues, just because he's a number 2 receiver. What other, outside maybe Tyler Lockett, we're not seeing number 2 receivers. We're seeing 4s, 3s, 4s. I've been drafting more Coker of late, but I still think he's probably a 3 at best. So yeah. Tight end or running back for this last pick. Then we would get into some more drafts, figure out what we want to do next. 26 likes is nice, people, but some of you still got in it to make a good decision day. And like the stream, subscribe so Steve can spend his Labor Day doing work like true American. Yeah, so not sure if you saw, if we get to 900 subs by the Friday of Labor Day weekend, we will, on Labor Day, do a 9-hour live stream. Primarily Megan us. I'm sure we'll get a few guests, a few of our other people to jump in. Okay, Mason Taylor might just be the pick because I think that value is way too high. Don't mind Ollie, don't mind Hunter, don't mind Mostert. But we will go Mason Taylor because I don't love my tight end room. And I think getting Mason Taylor here is an absolute steal. Okay, I didn't know if it was going to let me or not. That would have been very frustrating. Ingram I feel pretty good about. Kincaid, I take Kincaid some, but usually it's on like Allen teams. I probably wouldn't have taken him in this build without Allen. Definitely wouldn't have taken him if I realized the running backs would steam up like they did in here. So getting value on Mason Taylor, I feel good about. Maybe they filled the flex a little bit. I'm definitely thinner at running back than I typically like. This is more like a double anchor build. And that is not my favorite. But, Ford and Wright, Sanders, they all have a path. So maybe it pans out. We will quickly go over everyone's team. Mine, whenever it is, as went along, so don't need to go too much on it. Went with the standard 3-5-7-3. Allen, McCarthy, Smith. Just went through the running backs. Double tap the Vikings receivers to go with Worthy, Jacoby Myers, Jaden Higgins, Rashard Bateman. So a lot of capital early and then Slayton late, mainly to just tie in with having 3 week 6 buys. Ingram, Kincaid, Mason, Taylor. So let's see the other people who were in here with us. Latomsky, goes 2-6-7-3. Penix Darnold, Gibbs, JT, Hampton, Brees Hall, Aaron Jones, Tyron Tracy. We got Travis Hunter, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims. Really like Mims. I mean, the fact that he essentially played as a full wide receiver in the Broncos offense starting preseason, I think is good. I think it's very impressive, very bullish for him. I've been moving him up. I've been taking him more. Demario Douglas, he played a ton with Drake May as well. I think he was in just about every snap. Jalen Noel, DeAndre Hopkins, Ray McLeod. So nice, a balance. Talked about Ray earlier. Hopkins, these are solid guys to go along with like a Noel, a Mims, upside plays. And then Andrews, Loveland, Dallas Goedert. So very strong tight end room. And we got Charles, 2-6-8-2, Mahomes, Lawrence, CMC, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, Dylan Sampson. Like he said, he had half the Cleveland room. I got the other half. Rico, Keaton Mitchell. That's a good solid room. I mean, like the hero McCaffrey, but then Etienne could be a starter. Ramondre, speaking of split backfields, as good as Henderson looked, Ramondre looked good as well and has the backfield. I think Sampson and Ford are splitting the backfield. Rico got a lot of work with Hubbard. Mitchell, very explosive as well. Then A.J. Brown, Marv, George Pickens, Rasheed Rice, and Buka. Yeah, I definitely remember this team because it kept being people I wanted, Pickens and Buka. Stevenson, Sampson, a lot of guys that I'm high on. De'Ami Brown, Michael Wilson. Interesting thing about Wilson, Zay Jones played more in the preseason. We'll see how that split goes forward. Josh Reynolds, on the flip side, Alan Lazard, I saw, is banged up. I can't remember if it was high ankle, what it was, but the report I saw was that he could miss the first couple weeks of the season even. So Reynolds really could solidify himself as the number 2 in that offense. And Laporta Strange, double week 8 bye, always a bit risk there. But the one benefit of, the 3 of 12 is it's easier to advance that kind of team. Like taking a 0 1 week at tight end, you're not going to be as thin. I think Bo Sox, pretty sure I saw him in here. Maybe not. Sorry, it's been a long day, but I will go over it real quick. Anyways, Dak, CJ Stroud, Aaron Rodgers, James Cook, Brian Robinson Jr., Scattaboo, our guy Scattaboo, Garendo, Rashard White. So taking some of these banged up guys, Rashawn Johnson, another one, banged up guys who Johnson's been falling, which is intriguing. I think I'm going to start scooping a little bit more as well there. White fell a little bit. I really was hoping for him. Nico, Puka, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Flowers. So good, strong start to the receiver room, Shakir, and that's why he stopped at 6. He invested a lot like I did, but unlike me, he stopped at only 2, max of 2 buys a week. So he always will have at least 4. So that's a nice play there. And then Ferg and Jonnu, love the value we keep getting on Jonnu. And then our guy, GAB, Young Mula, is in here as well. 3-6-7-2, Jaden Brock, Anthony Richardson, Derrick Henry, Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, Javonte Williams, Braylon Allen, Taj Brooks. Like he said, he is very bullish on Braylon Allen. I love the Taj Brooks call. And I've been pulling Braylon Allen out a ton as well. Sharbs is, look, I think Kenneth Walker is the guy, but we have also seen anytime he goes down, Sharbs fills in so well. And it sounds like they want to get him some more workload just to recognize that Jalen Warren, he rested with the starters. He's going to have his role. Henry is like the true hammer and anchor of this team, but Javonte could be the one. Braylon Allen gains some work, so a lot of potential and upside overall in that running back room. that you feel pretty good when you're doing this many different types of guys. You can probably cobble together a pretty decent room overall. And Brian Thomas, Debo, Ricky Pearsall, love the top of this receiver room, including going down to Pittman. He's been a little too banged up at this camp, but compared to some other guys, not as bad. Cedric Tillman like that a lot. And then these big time, deep threat swings in Thornton and Pierce, who isn't even really a swing. He's just kind of undervalued, in my opinion. Kittle and Freiermuth, really good tight end room. Because Freiermuth is, to me, remains one of the best values there are. He could be the Steelers tight end one. He just could. Like, people don't seem to play it that way. And he could be a top 12 tight end. I mean, I think that's thinner, but I think at worst he's top 20, and you're getting him, here in the 17th round, 17th, 18th round. So really good value there. Let me hit up chat, then we'll get another draft. Chubba's season-long touchdown line is 6.5. That feels low given they scored 10 last season after not producing early. Yeah, I'd say that is low. Obviously, the thing with touchdown lines is injuries end up being such a factor. I mean, there's so many guys where you could look at just what they did last year or within the last 2 years, and you could probably get some value. I think Rico has more work than what we saw other backs have for Carolina last year, but I also think Carolina's offense will be better. So I think I would definitely say the over is the play, but it probably just boils down to, can he stay healthy? If he's healthy for 14, 15 games, I think he blows past that 6.5. But if he only plays 9 games, then that could be tough. I hate this. Franklin Steam was going to go auto pick 18th round. Those times are gone. Yeah, I don't have much Franklin, and I do want to get him some. I'm definitely kind of out on Pat Bryant now, taking more Mims. I've taken Franklin a couple times in 18th round, and I'll still take him some as well. Coker is a great last round pick. I mean, Leggett literally is fighting his way off the team. And Coker just outplays him. He outplayed him last year. He outplayed him in the preseason game. And of course, having a bonehead move like that does not help your case. Dear bye week bros, yes, I'm taking a goose egg week 8 inside end position. Live with it. Yeah, and like I said, I think there's a big difference doing it in a 3 of 12 versus a 2 of 12. Or if you're doing the flock contest, a 1 of 12. You're doing it in a 1 of 12, that's going to be tough. Your chance of finishing top overall when you're taking a 0, I think, is very, very low. And yeah, if you're doing it, also there's a big difference for the people who do it at quarterback versus tight end. And you're 2 really good tight ends. So collectively, you should hope that the tight ends outproduce that. If Sanders and Judy click late, I'm going to be excited. I have quite a bit of exposure to that combo. Interesting. Yeah. I'm low on Judy. I've just been low on him all along just because I think Cleveland, whether it's Flacco, whether it's Shador, doesn't matter. I just think Judy, now he's fallen some. So I started to click him a little bit. But it's just tough for me. I think they're going to be one of the lowest tier offenses. And I think him and Tillman are much closer than people give it credit for. And so I just don't like the 70 pick gap between the two. And that's why I have way more Tillman than Judy. But yeah, I want to get a little bit more Judy down the stretch here. This is the opposite of how I normally build teams. Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Just I don't love waiting on my third running back like at that, particularly in this kind of contest. So we're not drafting Judkins and have a lot of Ford and Sampson. Yeah, no, that's turned out nice for you. Let's go Fantasy Dog, 100%. Didn't even need Richardson. Want to make some of you all feel the pain. He's my wild card now. Yeah, and good news is Richardson, the injury, they said he's going to play in the second preseason game. So that's a positive because I mentioned this on the stream with Hames. It's one thing to say, oh, he's throwing. But sure, quarterbacks throwing right now in practice, even if you're banged up, it's pretty easy to do because you can't get hit. But if he's out there next preseason game, that finger can get hit again. And almost assuredly, particularly if he plays an extended time, he'll take a hit, whether it's a run, whether it's a sack, whether it's just a QB hit. So the fact that they feel good enough about it is a positive sign. So you tell me that I have a chance. I mean, the 107 spot, since they are not watching the stream. Yeah, 100%. No, I think there were a lot of good teams I read through. Love Judy and have a ton of exposure to Browns. Yeah, I mean, I guess I need to see it to believe it, just because they were so bad last year. Do you do many season-long picks parlays outside of DFS? So like season-long, I'm in Virginia. I cannot do season-long, unfortunately. So I don't. I wish I could, because I know there's some really good lines out there. But yeah, unfortunately, I cannot do it in Virginia. Like, let me just go over to the champions, because that's what my thing is, and NFL. Like I can do. I think they already have one preseason games, but I don't have NFL season. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. All right, let's get into. Oh, you're in Maryland. Meg's in Maryland. So yeah, she can do some season-long stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't. GAB Sports, I have a $25 parlay to win 250K. Spike that lottery. Nice. Well, good luck. I hope it hits, because that would be quite nice. All right. I think I'm going to pivot over to do a puppy 3. I'm going to count this down. Done a few so far. I'm not going to come. I did over 100 of puppy 1, puppy 2. Not going to come close to that in this, but I'll be doing some throughout this next week. But not trying to get anywhere near the hundo that I did for the other 2. We'll see. I'm expecting Underdog to release a few more drafts, contests this week, next week, etc. So let's get into this puppy 3. I will count it down from 10. So actually, I will enter at 9:29 Eastern. So adjust for your current time zone. That's just an easier way that we're all kind of on the same clock. So 9:29 Eastern, I will be entering this puppy 3. And good luck to everyone drafting whatever you're drafting right now. Like I said, it's nice. Underdog has a lot of fun stuff out there. I know they're 9:29. All right, we are in. Waiting on 5. Puppy 3, it is 40%. Yeah, that's what I thought it was earlier. So this looks like it filled. We got Who Hames in here. We got Boston George in here. We got On Real Time, Young Moolah, Huron Riverette, and looks like William One, who was in chat. So good, fun friends and family draft. I'm in the 10th spot. Who Hames got my typical spot in the top 3. So you are welcome, Who Hames. Yeah, I don't know if I'll get the chance to, but it is. I did that actually for the draft. I was able to put in some draft 1 or 2 draft parlays, just because I took a trip up to Maryland. Arizona Cards saying, thanks for doing that, Husky 2. Tried early and it wouldn't fill. Wow. I didn't realize it was having that much trouble filling some of these. I do have a couple more to go. Are you all done with yours, Arizona cards? Not sure when I'm going to do the other ones. Maybe later this week. Not sure if I might even throw in one more slow just to get some different ADP values. Get Jason in here saying, let's go. Good luck in this one all. Yeah, appreciate that, Jason. Here in Riverette, for those who don't know. Who said I made some sacrifices before he queued. He takes Bijan. He gets my spot. And let's see here. Budget management did 3. Now focusing on getting my BBM and LMs up. Gotcha. No, I get it. There's only, we gotta play it out how we want to. And that's actually why I'm not going to do as many limbs as I first thought, because seeing that things like the marathon and sprint are probably going to overlay, I'm going to focus on those a little bit more. So we are coming up here. I might just change this up a little bit, pull up someone. We'll see. What we feel like here. Yeah, normally I take Neighbors pretty easily here. I'm going to take Brian Thomas. I'm not overly worried about Neighbors, the injury situation. He isn't practicing as much as one would expect, and they're not very clear on everything in the timeline. Again, I'm not worried about it. That's not really why I did this. I just want more Brian Thomas. Talked about with Hames earlier, this Jags offense, Liam Cohen looks really good. The upside, the potential there, feel really good about it. I want to get more Brian Thomas, so point him up there feels like a good play. So, I guess this is due to the Stafford situation. I will take Puka. I like taking Puka lower. So sure, it's maybe not the most unique build, because sometimes you could do Puka and Brian Thomas kind of flip-flopping this. But actually, that's a good question. Brian Thomas and all. So I only had 2% of them combined. So it ends up being a nice, unique build for me as well. Yeah, Drafters main is assured to overlay. And in fact, they just launched a mini. I'm going to be surprised if may not overlay, but I don't know if that will fill, because they made a pretty good size, and they have the $10 Superflex still going. So Stephen McDivitt in here saying, appreciate you jumping in here. They tried to get in, but too early. Got my first 1-1 on Underdog, Team 57. Nice, congrats. Well, I'm assuming you went Chase. So enjoy that, because it's hard to get him past the 101. Mr. Nick, I'm waiting for promos on Sprint and Marathon. Just going to finish any limbs while I can. I gotcha. Yeah, I do think they probably release some promos for those, just at this point with the way it's looking at. Hames, trading most of my Amon-Ra percentage into BTJ is a decision I'm super comfortable with. Yeah, no, I can understand that. I think BTJ has higher upside. It's weird to say, and I'm the same way. I'm like 6-7% Amon-Ra. For me, it goes more. I'm like 9% Neighbors, 10% Nico, I believe, and then I have more of the running backs at the turn, Genty, Henry, and Achane. So that's kind of where it goes for me. But St. Brown has finished third, wide receiver 3 the last 2 years. I think he was 7 the year before that. But yeah, he just doesn't feel the same. Like BTJ, And partly because we think the Detroit offense could take a little step back, or we're really projecting that the Jaguars offense takes a big step forward. So quarterbacks go pretty high in this one. Raheem Allen, that taking Daniels, Lamar going in between. Do I? No, I won't double tap. Just I think there's a lot of fragility for the Rams. I'll take JSN. I think I don't have a lot of them just because I don't think he's a big touchdown guy. I think he had been going when he was going 28 through 31. That's no chance for me. But 33 through the end of the round, okay, I'll start taking them. I like the fall on Adams, that's for sure. And I have 3 week 8 buys. It is a problem with some of these guys. I'll take Kittle. Allows me to do 2 tight ends. We'll probably need 8. Might need 8 receivers. We'll see how it turns out. But I like the value you're getting at Kittle in the 4th round. Let's see. Let me go to the board and then I'll go back to chat. So now that Scaboo is ranked outside of your top 100 for the first time this summer, can we say you rug pulled us? Yeah. So, I mean, I did have to acknowledge that he could be, a little slower to take over the role. I didn't move down too far, and I believe I'm still ahead of ADP. What do I have? Because I did upload my rankings. Hopefully they uploaded correctly. Where's Scatterboo? Okay, maybe my rankings, I could have sworn I uploaded my rankings. Guess I did not. That's my bad. I will have to do that. Do I need a refresh? No, it did not. I'll see after the show why I didn't upload correctly. We'll figure it out at another time. But no, I'm still very bullish on him. I still think he overtakes Tyron Tracy. Like Williams and I talked about, Tyron Tracy was fine in the preseason game, but also just nothing special. I don't think people say he's so explosive and dynamic. I just have not seen it as much. And also for being a college wide receiver for much of his college career, I don't think he's as good of a route runner as like Scatterboo or even, and not just Scatterboo, like top tier receiving backs like the Cook, Gibbs, Bijan, all these types of backs. I just think he's above average in that department. And look, above average is better than a lot of guys. I think Bigsby wishes he could be above average as a receiving back. But yeah, so I just think sooner or later Scatterboo overtakes that role and just obviously has a touchdown role. And I think he's absolutely paying off in the 90 through 110 ADP range. So as much as I'd love to double tap Travis Hunter, I'm not going to go down that road. I will take I'm going to take RJ Harvey. I think look, he was out there with the starters. I think there's a lot of explosiveness and upside to his game. I think the Denver offense can be really good. Chuba, look, I think he's still the lead back, but Rico's going to work in. I think the upside is a little less for a guy like Chuba. All right, coming up in a couple picks. And let's see what Hubbard goes. I will take no, I will take Diggs. I have a big bag of them, but I'm going to keep going. This is kind of where I have them ranked. I need a different buy, and one receiver I feel confident about. Roma Dunze would have fit the bill as well, but Diggs, of course, opens up May, and just in general, I think I feel really good about the Diggs May connection, but maybe that's just me. Nice. Well, congrats on the Chase shares, because I think that is going to pay off big time. Next time you draft, I'm at 2, past Chase, and that is all. Thank you. BTJ floor much lower too. Yeah, I agree with that. Better take Hollywood in 7th. I just don't have faith in T. I just don't have T-Law faith. I do have him stacked a bit, but definitely not a lot. Yeah. All right. Coming up in a few here. No, I guess this is my long break. One thing, and I considered this, Young Mullah did it, taking Pollard. I almost took him when Hubbard went. I think Pollard with the Spears injury should be moving up. And yeah, I think he's a strong pick. How much longer does the 2 and 3 hole mirror each other's picks? Yeah, that's interesting. Let's see if you guys can do it this go around. So the 1 hole did get the Burrow push. Huhames goes Jennings, does the 3 hole, keep it going with another receiver. He does, Addison. So yeah, trading pick for pick. Chase Brown, Joe Burrow's a nice stack. I think, Huhames, I don't think this is Steven in the first spot. Maybe I missed the comment. Maybe he said that's what his stack was. So, let's see. Cameron Tracy feels like Dameon Pierce, great rookie year and terrible team, and falls off after that. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some of that. Pierce, I think, is also a system change was a factor. Tracy, I think, is fine, but I think I just look at Tracy more like a Jalen Warren type of back who solid secondary piece, could be passable for an extended role if you need it, but he's not somebody you're ever going to feel great about. This is not a fun range. Let's see what running back is. I'm going to pull up Jordan Mason. So Harvey Mason, my top 2 backs. And I'll be up in a few picks, and then we'll go back to the board. Receiver, this is the all-injured team right now. Reed, Shakir, Godwin, and Mooney. Legitimately, none of those guys could be playing week 1. I feel decently about Reed. Mooney, I was still kind of taking, but yeah, today's report did not sound promising. So, yeah, I'm going to go Ian Coleman. So 0-2-5-1. Tight end's only going to be 2. Just add one guy, and it might be late with the way this is looking at. But yeah. Yeah, it's not me. Do you guys ever play defense on Burrow and not letting him drop to 6-7? I mean, look, if you have Higgins or Chase Brown, I wouldn't even say that's defense. I think that's just you getting your stack, even if it's like Chase Brown. I think the Bengals offense is very condensed, and particularly if you look to add like a Gesicki later. I mean, Chase Brown and Gesicki, I think, is a fine combo with Burrow. Taking them like totally unstacked, not really. I mean, always you can add Gesicki later, though. Him being a little banged up makes that a little less. But I will say if that Chase drafter, particularly Dave Higgins, passes the turn and is coming back to the 70s, like Justin Herzig posted about this the other day, where he took Burrow at like 78 because like the Chase and Higgins drafters passed on him all the way back. And it's like, yeah, we're not letting him fall to the 90s. Are you kidding me? I mean, this guy, his last 2 healthy years finished quarterback 3 and quarterback 4. Like, that's just insane. Not only are me and Sir mirroring picks, but we both likely take a suspended receiver. FK Cool is checking in. Yeah, that quote about Mooney did sound awful. I had been taking the fall. I will probably stop until we get a little bit more clarification. It reminds me now, I guess I'm getting Hollywood Brown flashbacks where, he gets injured in the first preseason game. But then it's like, he might miss like 4 to 6 weeks, maybe week 1, week 2 at worst. But he'll be back. And it's like, okay, you had been going like 40s, 50s, and then he's going like 70s and 80s. And it's like, okay, I just kept scooping. I mean, Hollywood, I think, was one of my top 5 receivers last year. Maybe like 3rd. And I just kept scooping because I really wanted pieces of that Chiefs offense, and it just totally burned me. I mean, overall, obviously had a good year, but would have been much better if Hollywood, if those picks had been going to, actual playing receivers. We are seeing Mooney fall, that's for sure. All right, we get our first quarterback here, Brock with Kittle. I feel good about that. At some point, I do think, Mooney makes sense. I mean, this is a guy who 2 months ago was going 85. Like I said, these rankings are old. I don't know why they did not update it. I need to check. I must have done something wrong when I downloaded them. But yeah, the report remains week to week, not even day to day. We're hearing a lot of guys are day to day. He's week to week. Not ideal. So I will take Scatterboo here. Need a 3rd running back. That's right. His normal ADP. I don't think he gets back to me in 18 picks. I have been letting him fall to the late 1-teens, 120s, and gain him a decent chunk in my slows and in some other drafts I've been doing. But here with 18 picks, he's not coming back to me. So I will take him there. I like him in that range still, even with all things considered. So yeah. Back to the chat. Who Heems agrees. My Godwin bag's in trouble. Yeah, I did see a report. Somebody, it was like a Bucks blogger, and now I think they have some access, but said something about him starting on pup. That's the only time we've heard that. So I take that with a grain of salt. Remember, I mean, we heard of Patriots beat reporters erroneously speculate that about Diggs, and I understand that was 6 weeks ago, so there's a difference there, but I want to hear a little bit more, like it really getting leaked about Godwin starting on pup. Like I could see him missing week 1, but pup means a much longer stint. Steve, how close do you have Jennings and Pearsall ranked? More and more, I'm seeing Pearsall taken ahead of Jennings in the low 60s. Yeah, I now Pearsall above Jennings. I believe I have Pearsall kind of around 65. I could have sworn I uploaded my rankings correctly, so I'm sorry I can't look right now. But I think I have Jennings. I moved him down a bit. One, the little injury. I don't think he's going to hold out, despite him wanting a raise. But I have him like in mid 70s. I'll have to double check that, but somewhere in that ballpark. So I have more like a round gap between them instead of them being like back to back. But I think Pearsall's the guy. I've been heavy on Pearsall all along, and some of it was, of course, the ADP discount you're getting, but some of it is just higher draft capital, younger guy, huge upside. I think he really takes a lot of the Debo routes. And so even when Ayuk does come back, I don't think it impacts him really at all in how I look at it. Could be wrong in reading it that way, but that's kind of how I feel. We are going to take, we'll take Trevor Lawrence. I want a second quarterback in this range. Like I said, really high on Liam Cohen. I have his number 1 receiver. So like getting another quarterback here. It's right at his ADP. Mims did go. For a second, I wondered if I could push, but I just want to believe in the Jags. We are back up. I'm going to pull up Keenan Allen here. Sampson went. No other running back I really want to pull up. We'll go Keenan Allen. I'm fine. Continue to rise with him. And also in a contest like this, where 90% of the contest is getting him, in the 125 through 145 range. We don't have, this is not BBM where a section of this contest got him in the 190s through 210. I think Keenan Allen just slides right into essentially the number 2 role on the team. And now I feel pretty good about the balance of my receiver room with taking 3 guys in the same buy. Again, by having 3 at the same buy, probably can't stop at 6. I think you could have made a case otherwise, but like the room, really like the room. Let's go back to the board and see where we are at. Steve, I think maybe my initial rankings, my very initial rankings, I think I had them essentially back to back, but then I've had Pearsall above him. But then I widened the gap. Like it was then like Pearsall slightly above, and now it's, like I said, about a round. Nice. Yeah, Mooney, I think there is a value. Like I consider taking him. You said you got him at 119. Oh no, he went ahead. Young Mulder got him. Yeah, that's right. I did see that. I considered him with that Scatterboo pick. Partly I needed the running back, but yeah, here I think Mooney starts to make a ton of sense. I mean, I like Bateman a lot. I think he's going a little too low, and Kirk is a fine pick here. But Mooney, I think honestly, past like 105, I think you have to be interested. Anytime you're getting like a 2+ round discount on a guy who, even if he misses, 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, not the end of the world. I mean, I understand there are different situations with like Addison and Rice who are suspended versus injury, but we know for a fact, Addison is 3 games. Rice, we're speculating 4 to 6. Don't know for sure, but yeah, no qualms taking those guys. 20 plus picks. Part of the reason I don't have more Rice is he hasn't fallen the 2 rounds yet. He's fallen about a round and a half. Typically, sometimes he falls less or more. I'm going to go Brenton Strange, be done at 2 tight ends. Sure, I could wait on another guy, but I really like Strange. Again, making a big bet on this offense. We will do that. Feel good at my other rooms. Yeah. We'll see what comes back to me. Not taking Correndo. I was in on him early, but just the injuries out for a few weeks. Just don't love those kind of reports. And I will take a fallen Rashard White. Talked about this with Who Games earlier. They're already calling it day to day. And I think he looked good before he got injured in the game. I was definitely impressed with him. I think Sean Tucker is a good, solid running back, but Rashard White, he was the red zone guy, their passing game guy. I still think he kind of has some standalone role, contingent role. Nice pick that you're getting now, 160. Again, was going like 135, 140 just a couple weeks ago. So happy with that. And it's not like he performed bad. And again, I've said it before, where Liam Cohen's coming from. Tampa Bay offense, I know the Tristan Wirfs injury. I'm not too worried about that overall. In fact, the reports that we've seen is he's not expected to miss as much time as some people initially expected. And I just think Tampa's offense could be top 5, top 10. Based off your rankings, did the FBI go after Pat Bryant? Did he get stabbed? Eligible for the Army draft? Yeah, so I moved Pat Bryant down considerably. I think that I think he can be fine still, but I think it's looking more and more later season with Mims having a full. So the projection with Pat Bryant was when Denver drafted him was Sutton is their one, locked in, full-time, top tier receiver. Bailey's working in the slot. Mims and Franklin all kind of sharing, and Mims kind of being in the slot with Vele, working a little outside, out of the backfield, all that kind of stuff. He's a deep threat. He's a spike weak guy, but he didn't feel great as a clear wide receiver 2 on Denver. And then it's like Franklin, who disappointed last year, Vele, who, was okay, but kind of like a big power slot only, older rookie. So it makes sense. Like he looked better than Franklin, but he probably is maxed in terms of upside. And a guy like Pat Bryant, yeah, he can beat out those kind of guys. But when you see Mims like fully utilized in the number 2, then it's like, is Pat Bryant going in the slot? Is he competing with Vele? Franklin's looking better. So it's just, I think his path early on, he could struggle to see the field. Now, maybe late in the year, he pays off. But for me, he's now kind of like an 18th round guy. Also, what is the streaming schedule the rest of the week? We are finalizing that tomorrow. Originally, we talked about today, but didn't work out. We're going to have Sean Mitchell on, Meg and I tomorrow evening. And afterwards, Andrew and I are going to do a show and do drafts. And I might even draft later than that. And then Thursday, hang on, let me make this pick. I will take Sam Darnold. I like having a third quarterback. Yeah, Him and Warren said the same buy, but I have them both stacked up. So feel good about this quarterback room. Maybe I could push it to the other pick. Since William already has 3. Did it go? There we go. But I'd rather just lock it down. Jalen Wright, but I took him last draft. I didn't feel a need to, take too much Jalen Wright. Coming up on this selection, I'm going to take. So William takes Thielen as well. That obviously was on my short list. I will take Will Shipley. I'd been much higher on him. I haven't gotten as much lately, but I want to start getting more. He was clearly the number 2 back for the Eagles. Looked really good, looked really explosive. Sure, it's Saquon's job. Like, he's not coming for it, but he's got nice continued value with some probably week-to-week ability. As for Thursday, Megan and I are going to do Sibling Showdown. We'll probably do, we're going to tape another show. We're going to do I think we're going to do a sub-only show as well. But we'll probably have an extended show on Thursday for Sibling Showdown would be my guess. I haven't fully finalized that yet. And Meg has Friends of Basketball this week. I believe that's at 6 p.m. And that will be with Coach Speak Index, Greg, on that. And I will see what other shows I do this week, whether something Friday, Saturday. I'm just not sure yet. And then I think Meg and I are going to be on sometime on Sunday. BBG, he hit his 2,000 mark. He's doing, I think, a 12-hour stream. Need to get the details on that, but I know he invited us on. So I'm not sure what time that'll be at. And depending on when that goes, maybe I'll do a show Sunday, morning or earlier. Again, not sure when he's going on, but probably won't compete for us that show. Get disbanded on here with a dot. Hope you're doing well. Saying Ricky Person. Yeah, that was a good story. Got the full details from Candyman and Bindles last night. That was fun. Definitely check out their stream. Heard about the main event. Ricky Person. Pearsall 64, Jennings 79. This data is so great for only $34.99 for the whole damn year. Appreciate you, Mike, for looking it up. Since I apparently did not upload my rankings properly. But yeah, so like I said, I have like a little over a round gap between the two. The versatility in Pearsall's routes run reminds me of your boy Thielen in his earlier Viking seasons. Yeah, I actually think that's a very good comp. Excellent route runner, finds ways to get open, can get yards after the catch. That's why I say he does a lot. I mean, some different body types for him and Debo, but I think you can line him up from different alignments. I think he inside, outside, running routes out of the backfield. He's just very smooth. I'm bullish on Pearsall this year, and I think, like I said, a lot of the Debo stuff I think could filter his way. Not really the running portion of it, but just how they would utilize him and just get the ball in his hands, get the ball in space. So coming up on the 17th round pick, don't need a tight end. Obviously, have some correlation here. We will go with a running back or receiver. I will go with Mike Robb's guy, DeAndre Hopkins. And, I have him at 9% as well. So it's definitely one of my guys. Also, I think he is, for where we're getting him, late 17th round. Sometimes he's in the 18th round. I think he can really pay off that ADP. Running back is dried up. I wouldn't mind adding a 6th guy. And, I think I'm just going to take Justice Hill. It is, as much as Mitchell looked explosive, I do think it's worth noting that Hill sat with the starters. And I think his role is pretty safe because Mitchell's just not have a big pass game role. So let me know. I want to jump in another draft after this. Let me know if you want me to shout out your team or have any questions about your team. I'd be happy to talk about it. If not, no big deal. We'll just move on to the next draft. But feel free to shout out in chat if you would like a review, because I appreciate all you guys joining me in the drafts, joining me in chat, hitting the like button, leaving comments after the show. It all helps us out. I hope Stroud has a bounce back year and Higgins has a good year. Yeah, I think Texans are going to need to throw the ball a lot. I think the Mixon injury is not great. Offensive line is going to have some woes. So yeah, I scooped all the Falcons. Nice, JB. Looking at some of my puppy 2 teams, Judkins at pick 64 hurts. Yeah, I definitely had a few of those as well. When that news broke, I was, I think, right around the field, 8-9%. Not much more than that, but I've not taken them really since. White over Grendo, injured handcuffs are bad plays. Agreed. White's himself is injured, but it doesn't sound nearly as bad. Even I moved into like 194. Oops, I autoed Stafford. Ouch. Ouch, James. Are you doing another draft after? Yes, I want to do definitely one more draft. Pearsall is super divisive. I don't know. I guess I don't see the negative case for Pearsall, because for me, he was a little banged up last year. Obviously, very crowded room. And he gets shot. So yeah, he doesn't get in until like week 8. It was, I think, week 7, 8. And sure, the room had gotten a lot less crowded by then, but that's a lot of time missed just training your body to be fully back in football shape. That's going to take some time. You're trying to learn the plays, learn on the fly. So we always talk about post-buy rookie bump and how guys like Ladd, BTJ, Xavier Worthy were so much better down the stretch. Well, those guys played all year. Ricky Pearsall had 2 good games down the stretch, like week 11 and week 17, so something in that ballpark. And 17 was obviously the big one that won people money. But I think we should give him some credit that it's not surprising that he didn't hit right away when he jumped on the field, because he had missed a lot of time. So I guess I don't see the negative case for him. Stafford needed to be another wide receiver. Can you run in a limb? I'll see what do people want. I will do in a limb if that's what people want. I'll take a review. I'm not a fan of how mine turned out. I will look at it. Sentence Media, bro, what's going on? Check mine out. Yeah, okay, I'll review these teams and then we'll jump in. Let me know in chat if you want another puppy or in a limb. I'm happy to do either one of those. All right, let's go quick. Hames, he mentioned it, the Stafford pick, the 3573. I can see why Allen and May didn't feel need another quarterback. Running back room, very strong. Lloyd got some real positive news today. Receiver room, I see, when starting with Rice and Juwan Jennings, who might start the season a little slow. In Hollywood, I can see really wanting another receiver there for depth to counterbalance that. Tight end room, very strong as well. We got Boston George in here. 3573, Dak, Herbie, Bryce Young, James Cook, Kenneth Walker, Caleb, Charbonnet, Ray Davis. Really strong running back room. Really got bullish on it. And still, even with that, 3 top receivers, Lamb, McConkey stacked up. Garrett Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, Kyle Williams, Wandale, Coker, nice pick on Coker. Jatavian Sanders, Juwan Johnson, Gadsden. So really stacking up his teams. Yeah, I think it's a solid build. Didn't waited to start the running back until the 4th round. but then he took a bunch by around 13, and good solid team. Not a clear weakness anywhere. We got that in here. Saying you wanted to review as well, so I'll focus on this a little bit more. Jane Daniels, JJ McCarthy, in part of his 2682. JT, Brees Hall, Aaron Jones, Naj, Rico, Ollie Gordon. Absolutely taking advantage of some of the news that we've heard today. One, Najee Harris is actually practicing. That's positive. Excuse me. Rico Dowdle, I thought he looked good in the preseason game. Looks like he's going to have much more of a role. I've been taking him. I moved him up considerably, and I'm taking him absolutely in the 160s. And Ollie Gordon, he, with Madison's injury and Gordon looked well, he could push for the number 2 role for sure. Justin Jefferson, Debo, Rome, so stacking top 2 receivers, Rome, Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, Torrey Horton, Elijah Moore, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I know he's a big Nick Westbrook-Ikhine fan. Westbrook-Ikhine had a nice catch in the preseason game. That was clear Malik Washington was running a bit ahead of him with the ones. But I think Nick Westbrook-Ikhine does offer some unique things. Overall, I think it's super strong with, like where the strength of the running back room, 2 quarterbacks, kind of, it's almost like an anchor wide receiver build with JJ, but Debo, Odunze are really good starters. Higgins should be a good starter. Trey Harris, I'm definitely lower on. I know you got him way past ADP. I'm kind of more, I need to see Harris to fall more to the 140s, 150s. At first, I put him at 145. Now I think I moved him down even to 150 some. Horton is somebody moving up, and I get wanting to get some shares of him. Elijah Moore, I know you're high on him as well. I sprinkle him in typically more with like Allen stacks, because it's just so many bodies there. But I get it. I mean, Elijah Moore still shocks me that there was not more of a market for him. And then Tyler Warren, Jake Ferguson, that's a good 2 tight end room. So, you took, what I'd say, maybe a few young, riskier receivers and like Harris and Moore, but they're attached to really good offenses. If they hit, if they pay off, they could pay off big and make up for it. And even if they don't, like, you're going to be fine at receiver with JJ, Debo, Odunze, Higgins. Harris is not going to be a 0, and just depth, when you're taking 8. So I think it's a fine team. We got young Mula in here. He went 2.763. So really, I like this. So Kyler, Penix, Derrick Henry, so anchor running back, but then got 6 more. So he really kind of, for taking 7, and I think this is fine strategy. I'm really bullish on Pollard. I think Monty's a good pick. Dobbins and Harvey are, I think the clear 1-2 in that room. Then he took the upside swings. Corey Krosky Merritt, Roshan, who, as we mentioned before, falls. Sean Tucker, potentially having a bigger role if the White injuries a bit more. So taking some upside swings, like your room could end up being Henry, Pollard, Monty, Dobbins, and you're fine. But if any one of these 3 hit, that room could just be an absolute smash. And obviously with 2 hit, it's off the charts. And there's just a path for all 3 of these guys. So I like when you can tell the story. I assume the receiver room is very strong, and that's what it absolutely looks like. London, Marv, Pickens, Devonta Smith. So very, very strong to start. Mooney taking the falling value. As I mentioned before, he was going like 85 just a couple weeks ago. And then Romeo Dubs, like, it sounds like it's not a serious injury. So assuming Mooney and Dubs are healthy, this receiver room is on fire. 3 week 5, so it's a little tough for that, taking only 6, but overall, I think it's fine. Pitts, so really stacking up Penix. I mean, Penix is stacked throughout. Likely Fryermuth, it's upside play with Pitts, upside play with Likely, assuming the injury is fine. And then Fryermuth, as I mentioned in the last draft, I think is criminally undervalued. So, it's a fun, higher, I don't want to say high risk, but it's a little riskier, but very high reward team. And I can see the path. Jason said he wanted the review. Also, 2682, Mahomes, Stroud, Genty, Hampton, Travis Etienne, Taj Spears, Jerome Ford, Nick Chubb. So, quarterback, I think is fine. I think it's, Genty, Hampton feel really strong about. Etienne, I'm probably more bullish than a lot on Etienne. Taj, the injury does concern me slightly just because he's dealt with injuries before. It's ACLs and all that. And last year he got banged up a couple times. It's tough though. I do like that you got him around past the, 10, almost 10 picks past ADP. Jerome Ford, I really like that pick. Nick Chubb, you got him around past ADP, and that's more where he should go. Late 170s, early 180s. So I don't mind that pick. And so I see why you went 6, because it's like, yes, you feel really confident about the first two, but then everyone else, Ford probably you feel the most confident about. There's an upside case, but there's also a questionable case as well. So I get going 6 there. Receivers seems pretty strong. Nico, Terry, I don't worry about a holdout. Travis Hunter, really like what we saw there. Really like what we saw in Buka. Christian Kirk. So Stroud is super stacked up. Thornton, Knoll, and love Slayton. Slayton, I think, really covers we don't know what Knoll will be. We don't know what Thornton will be. But, between Kirk, Knoll, and Collins, you should have a ton of usable weeks. Plenty of weeks you'll probably have 2 usable Texans weeks. So nice, strong receiver room, assuming the Texans passing offense is good. If it's not, you're in trouble, but that's the bet you're making. And then Kelsey, Jonnu. Oh, Jonnu at 201. That is some crazy falling value on Jonnu. So I like that part about it. Kelsey's a little, I don't typically take Kelsey in the 2 tight end build. I've done it once or twice. It's just, I worry that he is just not going to be as consistent. But that's more of a me thing. That's why I'm lower on him. I'm about like 20, 25 spots lower on Kelsey than his current ADP. But getting him with Mahomes, that's when I do take Kelsey. But just the 2 tight end, a little risky, just given his age and maybe him taking a step back throughout the entire season. We had William in here, 3672, Fields, Tua, Geno. Nice, solid. Didn't spend a lot, but get three quarterbacks stacked up. Yeah, that's what I thought. Bowers, Taylor, Achane with Tua. So 3 stacked quarterbacks. Brian Robinson, Stevenson, Sampson, Tootin, Corm. Nice little running back room. Achane, like the only clear kind of alpha back. But Robinson could have a decent role. Stevenson looks to have a very decent role. Sampson probably the same. And Tootin, I think he's a wild card, whether he's probably not the one on the team, maybe at the end of the year, but definitely not at the beginning. Corm, great contingent value, looked nice. And you get him late. So I get it. Worthy, Tet, Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Waddle, Jaden Reed, Thielen, Jalen Royals. I'm not as high on Royals. That's just me. Maybe during the the Rice suspension, he hit some. But I worry when I think it's clear like Juju is ahead of him. Some other guys, and it does sound like Hollywood should be back soon. But as your last receiver, betting on the Chiefs isn't a terrible play. And then Bowers, Mason Taylor is really fun. Bowers can easily be tight end 1, and Mason Taylor, I think that's really good value. All right, I will get into one more draft. Let's see what people wanted. Do you want to do a limb? Do you want to do a puppy? Let me know. Mixon, Judkins, also Godwin. Yeah, that could struggle early on. Went high upside running back with premium handcuff, then just try to fill out the other positions. Was really considering high upside. Yeah, I see. I'm just saying people pick a side in that wider seam and go ham. We got Puppy, BBM, a limb. All right. I don't know the limb rules. Yeah, limb is a little different. MMG or Puppy, cheapskate vote. I think I will go Puppy. A limb is head to head, but you do have to draft differently. And these guys, like the receivers who are suspended or maybe missing time early, like, we could make the case like, oh, Mooney at 115 is good value. Well, Mooney at 115, if he misses the first month, is terrible value because you could just be out of the damn thing by that time. It is my take on it. Kyle Williams and Demario went to pick right before me. I have two limbs, not my cup of tea yet. It's definitely not my favorite. I mean, I'm doing some. So yeah, Nick sums it up nicely here in the limb. Week 1, 6 to 12 teams in your draft room make it past. Then every other week it's head to head, random head to head. So it's the ultimate pod luck. And he clarifies here, if you make it to week 4, you make your money back. Yeah. But it's tough to get like our guy Candyman, I was on his stream last night, really broke it down. Like to get through even 8 weeks, you've less than a 1% chance to get, if you did 150 teams, you have less than a 1% chance to mathematically get a team through. And that's 8 weeks is like where you kind of get some decent money. So it can be tough. Again, I do some and I get it. I think I will do a Puppy with this last draft. I have a Puppy 2 team. Yeah, it's interesting to go back and look at some of your old teams. I'm risking for the biscuit kind of fella. I get it. Puppy. Yep, we will do a Puppy here. But I appreciate Mr. Nick. We will do some limbs on stream. Maybe Thursday. Maybe that'll be one of the drafts Megan and I do. We'll see. I need to talk to her. Let's go to drafts, and we will get into a Puppy at. Make sure I can get there in time. Hate that I have to go to the NFL tab, but we will go there. And the Puppy 3. So 10:24 Eastern, we will get into the Puppy 3. So adjust for whatever time zone you're in. We will be entering in less than a minute. And so we will enter. I must have just missed the time, but it is at 10:24 Eastern time. The next Puppy 3. I appreciate everyone for jumping on with me, talking ball. We are entering right now. So this looks like it's snap filled. So sorry. Hopefully some of you guys jumped in at the same time. Sorry if you did not. Looks like we got at least some. We got Boston George in here. Okay, and Eddie. So incredible. Definitely recognize John Ditcher. If you're in chat, let us know. Sorry for anyone else trying to jump in. And if I missed your name, please let me know. So this time we move up to the 5th spot. And thank you all for joining me tonight in the stream and in these drafts. Speaking of streaming, Eddie's in the 12th spot. Peaky Blinders, that's a great show. Speaking of streaming, we got our good friend PPR Tyler. He's been doing a stream a night for over 200 nights. This will be the last one. Then he needs to take a break because of he does football coaching, and because of that, he won't be able to do it tomorrow apparently. So definitely check out his show. Give him a like. Give him a sub if you don't already. He's a good guy. He's one of our best ball semifinalists, best ball Jeopardy semifinalists. So definitely support him. And yeah, we will be up in one pick. And we're just going to take Jahmyr Gibbs here. Jefferson's the only guy kind of underweight on in the top 6, just because I generally think he should be more 5'6". A lot of times he goes, 2, 3, 4. So I take all these guys ahead of him, generally speaking. But for me, the top 6, like McCaffrey's right on the cusp. Like, can I make the case to take McCaffrey 5th or 6th? Sure. But I really, early on, I think I put up Nico and Malik once or twice, but that's about it. Like, I really don't pull up anyone else into the top 6. I want to have strong exposures to all those guys. GAB must have gotten in the overflow. Yeah, when I might have been the last one in. So you guys those who got in must have hit it at the exact time. Eddie, you going to get my guys? Absolutely. We only have a couple weeks to go. Don't always go by. Here's the thing with ADP. We don't necessarily see it as much with some of these early guys, but like some of the guys we talked about, like guys we know who are rising, you can't just draft and be like, oh, their ADP says 160. I can't take them at 150. Well, you can, because like they're just not going to get back to you at 160 or 162. Guys who are rising, and some are probably maybe shouldn't be rising, but like some of the, whether it's the Browns backs or like Rico Dowdle, I can't remember. I can't remember who had him in the last draft, but they took him like 12 spots ahead of ADP. Well, that doesn't matter, because that's kind of where he's going now. I think process wise, that's 100% the right call. So up in 1, Bowers goes. And I like McConkey. I will take. Just take JT. Just be an RB bully. It's the position scores the most points. Let's do it. Whether I really go bully, we'll see. We'll see what comes back. Receiver has taken a hit with all these wide receiver injuries. The Moonies, even Pittmans, but Godwin, etc. Like a lot of wide receivers are banged up right now. In fact, some top end backs have only seen their backup banged up, like Pollard. And one of the reasons why I think Pollard's moving up is he looks good. The offensive line is better. The offense as a whole should be better. Now Tajay Spears is already banged up. Yeah. Let's see here. Nonsense Media. Well, I'll get back to chat in a second. He needs to make his pick. For those who don't know, that's Boston George. And then I will make mine. I'll go Marv. I'm a little lower on him, but I want a decent share. And I want a receiver. Thanks for having us, bro. Really appreciate what you and Meg do. Appreciate you. I appreciate, again, everyone joining us. It's fun to talk ball. It's fun to draft together. And I get so much McCaffrey. Yeah, like I'm taking McCaffrey pretty much every time at 7. I'm taking him at 8, 9 for sure. I'm quite all right being over the field on McCaffrey. Do you want to tell the audience how you're able to manage your exposure rates in the UI? Yeah. I mentioned earlier, but we we are big fans of BBO, Best Ball Overlay. As you can see here, it's a very simple tool. Like you can change your schedule. Obviously, I've set it weeks 15, 16, 17. But if you were doing a limb, you could set it for like 1, 2, 3, or because, 2, 3, 4, trying to get to the money, stuff like that. You can do it. You can have play up bring backs. You can do the QB correlations, the combo tool. You can search by tournament. Here is the combo tool. So I can see like Gibbs, in terms of what's available, what's coming back to me. Like how often do I have Gibbs and some of these guys? I mean, some are much lower than others. But that's not available. I don't know why that's. I'll need to refresh that. But I think it's a great tool, great way to manage your exposures. Highly recommend it to anyone doing it at volume. Use code Fanspeak, you get 25% off. Boy. I will take Jameson Williams. Let's make a Detroit Lions bet. Yeah, I think the offense could take a bit of a step back. But at the same time, this is an offense that has finished top 5 in both scoring and yards each of the last 3 years. I know Ben Johnson's gone. I know there's some O-line changes. It's still the same top quarterback. It's still the same top 2 receivers, top 2 running backs, top tight end that we've seen in the last 2 years. I don't see a big reason for a drop-off. And I think their defense has some issues. Yeah, what a bully, Steve. An LMC gift from Steve-O. John Ditcher in the draft and overflow. Busy guy. Yeah. Elite quarterback steadily moving up in most draft rooms. Yeah, I very much considered Hurts there. I think a big part of it is after this pick, I'll talk about it. All right. I will take Trevion Henderson. He's moving up, and I think he's moving up for a reason. I think we should temper it slightly, but I don't mind being a little bit more bullish at the running back position in this draft. I have been the last couple of drafts, and I want to mix it up. I want decent exposure, but all along, elite quarterbacks project better than many of these receivers, like the Tyreek Hills, the Marvin Harrison, who I did take, Garrett Wilson, JSN, McLaurin, Mike Evans. I mean, Adams is sliding, but those elite quarterbacks, like I've had Allen and Lamar in the mid 20s ranked essentially this entire time. And so yeah, I take them a fair chunk in this range. And now Daniels, Daniels is weird. Like last week you were getting Daniels like coming back here in the late 4th, and he's up in this one. He kind of has the widest range, I feel like. Hurts is more back half of the 4th, early 5th round. But yeah, I mean, elite quarterbacks, just we know their upside. We know what they project to do, particularly if they stay healthy. Not only like total points, but they have just massive spike weeks. You look at somebody like Josh Allen now, week 16, 17, he wasn't the guy, but that dude crushed the league week 15. Absolutely dominated. And, you needed some help with him. And it also shows why sometimes 3 quarterbacks is the viable approach. But I just think there's so much value for that. The elite quarterbacks who can week in, week out give you these big time scores, as well as just massive spike weeks that even some rushing other quarterbacks just can't reach. Like in his career, a guy like Fields has had some big time spike weeks, but he also will have like the 14-point games, the 12-point games. Last year with the Steelers, he had in 6 games, he was quarterback one of the weeks, but he was also like quarterback 30 one of the weeks. He had some bad games as well. And that's been his career. But yeah, these elites are always projected well, and when there's been a lot of question marks at other receivers and even some running backs, it's easy to see why they go where they go. Let's see what I get here. Addison, nice pick. Nice pick. So running backs fall. I'm going to take Tony Pollard. I think Pacheco's a fine pick. You could say from an exposure standpoint, I should go that route. But I think Pollard, like I mentioned, I think his situation is very wheels up going forward for me. I'm going to be very bullish and aggressive on him. So gain him like at his current ADP, I think is great. Eddie's saying, would love to see the Hampton fall there to me. Yeah. Hampton's been a little while because the Slater news is now moved Hampton down a bit. I think we'll probably see the Naj report even move him down a little bit, but I think he was a first round pick for a reason. T-Mac or McLaurin. I would say, yeah, assuming this is not like you having Jaden Daniels and then I think McLaurin, but I think right now in a vacuum, I'd go T-Mac. I think a deal gets done with McLaurin, but it could slow him down to start the year. And they did add Debo. They have Ertz. They're not going to be as high of volume passing offense. McLaurin's going to rely heavily on touchdown production. And last year, he set a franchise record in touchdowns. I don't know if that's repeatable. I think he'll be fine, 7 to 10 touchdowns. But if it's on the 7 side, I think McMillan, T-Mac really crushes that. So I went very bullish at running back here. It was 0-4-3. Definitely taking a break at running back at this point. Yeah, we're coming back up to the hurt locker of running back range. So I'm not loving that. So Baker went. I missed that. Eddie got him. Nice pick, Eddie. So yeah, we're going to go Higgins. We need to find a receiver who's not going to start the year injured. And yeah, now this is a pretty good receiver room, really good, great running back room. We could go hyper fragile running back. I don't do it too often, but it's 4 different guys in top 80 picks, 4 different buys. It's definitely in the cards. All right. Yeah, another vote for T-Mac. Glad I got Evans and T-Mac. Yeah, no, that was a good pick. Don't forget to use code Fanspeak. Yes, sorry if I didn't make that clear. Use code Fanspeak, get you 25% off on Best Ball Overlay. I just took DK, barely have any. I like DK Metcalf pick. I think he's going to be the clear number 1 with Rodgers. I think Rodgers, they throw a lot more than the Steelers did last year. Probably around 600 times. So I think it will be a pretty good passing attack. Oh boy. We are going to go Mark Andrews. I want to be well overweight on Andrews. One of the reasons why I don't take a lot of Kelsey, I'm not sure why it shows that, is because I think Andrews is underpriced, just very underpriced. Even before the likely news, I think Andrews was very underpriced. Hurts ADP the past few years has been criminal. Yeah. Hurts, I think, does get knocked because he's dealt with injuries and missing times in the fantasy playoffs. Yeah. JB, Travion went 41 in overflow. Wow. That That's pretty high. I'm not taking Travion that high. 99th BM in 5, Jamar Chase. 99 BBMs in, 5 Jamar Chase, 5 Burrow snipe season loading. Maxing rough. Go to the board as I keep checking chat. Thank you all for being here. Hope the overflow and your other drafts are going well. Ruff saying, and appreciate you joining chat. Ruff, I think I'm maxing. Can't get any Chase Higgins Burrow. Yeah, that can be tough in a singular contest, even with 150 entries. And that's why doing other contests and making sure you get your combos, sure, like you want it in the BBM, of course, but for me, I'm not maxing BBM. I'll probably be around 70, 75. But so I'm not sure. I mean, I could look how many like Chase Burrow BBMs I have. But I know I have it in other contests. So like I feel good. Like if it goes off, hopefully I'm in the finals in those contests and I'm getting paid off. Mike saying, Steve, always hitting us with great info. You're one of a kind, man. Appreciate that. And thank you, Nonsense Media, for agreeing. Jane Higgins' ADP is egregious. Yeah, particularly with all these other injuries. I don't know why he hasn't moved up more. I'm going to take Jared Goff. I made a Lions bet, and I hope to see it through. So, yeah, I don't have a ton of Goff, just because I think his ADP is a little rich. But here, when I took 2 guys, Gibbs and JMO, then I'm okay taking them there. The tough thing with Goff is he has zero rushing ability, and that never feels great. At the same time, week 15, he was QB2, right behind Josh Allen. So he showed that he can sling it as well as anyone. Herbert going. We will take Christian Kirk. We'll take another Houston piece. Need more receiver. Nobody else I fully felt like pulling up there. I took Keenan in the last one. I would have been doing the same. But I don't mind having 2 pieces of that offense either. I mean, overall, this team is, I think, looking pretty good. Very strong at running back. Potentially going hyper fragile here. Receiver, I feel like I've caught up on Marv, JMO, and Buka, Higgins, Kirk. I think, and I might only go 2 tight ends also. So I think for sure I'm having 8 receivers. We'll see what the build ends up panning out to be. Her Locker is a great movie. Yes, it is. It's been a while since I've seen it, but absolutely. Wanted to double tap that RB there. Can pass up on Baker's 7 stack. No, I totally get it. You're the reason running backs aren't falling to me. Yeah, well, I mean, I had that happen in the first draft. This Hawk slip is disgusting. Agreed. I almost thought I'd get him back. That was, I was taking either Hawk or Andrews there. Do you prefer 7 or 8 wide receiver? Generally 7. I do, of my teams, I probably do 75, 80% 3 quarterback build. Probably about 50-50 2 versus 3 tight end build. So when I have an extra pick, it's probably 50-50 whether it's a 6th running back or an 8th receiver. Kind of just depends on what I feel needs it more. Every now and then I'm doing 9 receivers. Every now and then I'm doing 7 running backs. It just kind of depends. Rarely do I do what I'd say like a 2 quarterback, 2 tight end build. There are a handful of times I have, but it's definitely not my like top build by any stretch. Quarterback, I'm getting boxed out on. I need help. I will take Bryce Young. He's a guy you can backstack with a couple different pieces. And, that's one of the issues with like Stafford and, like I mentioned, the Colts before, just not the greatest options. And just, I didn't really expect Stroud to come back. I kind of hoped maybe having Higgins and Kirk, I could push him back. Didn't work out. Where'd Stroud go? Scantron. So, pretty a little bit after I took Kirk, and it was a big gap. So I didn't really expect it. Penix also, not that I had a stack working out, but it was in the mix. Let's see what receivers looking at. I am going to go Tillman here. Hollywood's tempting with the fall, but I just want a little bit more certainty. I feel Tillman actually gives that. So, yeah. I'm sitting at a 2-4-6-1. Probably done at running back. Quarterback, I'd like to get a third. Depends on what I can get, to be honest. Tight end, taking at least one more, maybe two, depending on how that pans out. 30-second DraftKings is the worst after doing 20-second BBMs. Like, hurry up already. Yeah, I was doing a drafters earlier, and I was doing an Underdog MMG at the same time as the drafters, and I started the drafters first, but I, with 18 rounds and 20-second clocks, I finished the MMG far faster. I think I was in like the 13th round. And I mean, they started relatively the same time, but the drafters started first. And I was like, you can see the difference sometimes. Now, that did feel like a slow drafters room. And I was like in the middle, so I couldn't really, push the clock. One thing, when you're on a turn, particularly the turn 1 or 12, you can take those 30-second clocks, and instead of a combined minute, you can make 2 picks in 10 seconds. That can really shorten a draft, but it was not. It felt like a very long draft. Quarterbacks really log jamming here. Yeah. Yep. 100%. Oops, got 2 week 9 by quarterbacks. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things where you look at, maybe I'm on the clock, so I should figure this out. I don't like this. I'll take Hunter Henry. I didn't have anything for Tua. It's not a fun guy to take unstacked. I still want a third quarterback. Probably could still take a third tight end, but receiver and quarterback are probably my top 2 priorities here. How is McCaffrey looking? Luke McCaffrey, he looked good. Camp reports are pretty good on him. He was like the first receiver. Like, they didn't play their starters, and of course McLaurin's sitting out. They didn't play their starters, but McCaffrey was like, he was out there with the quote unquote starting receivers in the preseason game. He left after 10 snaps. So I think it was very bullish on him, very positive news on him. I'm going to pull up Rodgers. I need a quarterback. So I think probably taking tight end. Nothing, I still feel really good about this hyper fragile room. Gibbs, Taylor, Travion, and Tony Pollard. So I think that's the approach I'm going to go. Fire running backs, yeah. Gosh, I won't remember a few weeks ago when Bryce was practically free. Yeah, Bryce Young was going in like 160 a little bit ago. Thanks for answering my question, Steve. Really enjoy your insights. So I appreciate that, Steve. Not just because you have a good name and spelled the exact same way as mine. So, but no, thank you so much for the compliment. Really appreciate that, and I do. I enjoy, talking ball, talking drafts for sure. Just took Scatterboo in the overflow and honored the shops. Nice. Where do you get them at? Currently 3281. That's an interesting build. Wild. My receivers are old. Hey, all you need them for is this year. See, I think I'm going 2 receivers, 1 tight end. I am going to, just because I want to make sure I get them, I want to get more of them. I'm going to take Coker here. Probably could get him in the 17th round, but let's get my guy. There are. So it's tough because, I have some stacking options, some guys who maybe could get back to me, maybe not in the 18th. Do I just pull somebody up? But at the same time, I really like Slayton and Hopkins. They are very, very easy 17th round clicks for me. Really tie my wide receiver room up in a bow. Tight end wise, how's it looking? Tight end, I feel, is more likely to fall. But let's see what we get back here. All right. 112. Yeah, that's a good price on Scatterboo. Yeah, I'm gonna go Hopkins. I mean, I won't complete, like, if some great receiver or running back is still there, but running back looks to be fairly picked over. I mean, Taj Brooks is still there, but I have a nice share of him. Tight end. Oh, let's throw some guys in the queue. I mean, Gesicki falling. It's so wild to me. It's such a great offense. Not really taking Schultz or Darren Waller. I have 0 Darren Waller. I'm fine with that stand. So, and let's see, where did it go? Where did I miss? Mr. M. Smith, I'm not sure if here, but taking Freiermuth there. Yeah, I kind of thought Freiermuth would fall back to me. So that's why I went Hopkins there. Maybe that's the wrong call, maybe not. Especially having Aaron Rodgers. I thought he'd fall back to me. I'll still probably take a 3rd tight end. But let's just check on what receiver and running back's looking like, just in case. Nothing fully jumping out. Obviously, a few names to pivot to, if need be. So we'll finish up this draft, and we'll review a couple teams in here. We will get on out of here after that, but and of course hit up anything in chat before I leave. So thank you all again for joining me in drafting here. I mean, Pat Ryan 17th is crazy without Rodgers. No, I mean honestly it's a good pick. I is just you so often see him going in the 18th round. And when I had Rodgers, I thought I could push it. Ooh. Oh, Jatavian Sanders did not get back to me. That's too bad. I will take, I know the Carolina bring back. I'm going to take Harold Fannin. I don't have much of it. And we get these reports that he could have a major role. Is also very interesting. He only played like 4 or 5 snaps. They pulled him quick in that game. I still want more Theo. As for Arroyo, look, I think AJ Barner is going to be a thing. At least he'll be blocking some and out there a fair bit. Arroyo, I still think is worth sprinkling in. I think Juwan Johnson's a good pick. I think Theo Johnson's a good pick, but this felt like a team to take Fannin. If Fannin ends up being a 0, I'm okay because I'm Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, and I think my team is pretty well built across the board. 3, 4, 8, 3. Didn't get a Rodgers stack, but I'm fine with that. I just wanted another player to help me advance. Goff, Young, Aaron Rodgers. Went hyper fragile. Gibbs, JT, Travion Henderson, Tony Pollard. Four starting running backs. 4 different buys. I mean, Henderson and Stevenson are going to split, but I think Henderson's fine. But the real key is having 4 different buys. I think that's the best approach to hyperfragile because you say like, oh, two running backs same buy isn't a big deal, but then that means you only have 2 running backs that week. And if there's an injury or just a really bad performance, taking 5 points, a 0, that could be such a killer. And of course, having no shot of a running back in your flex. Ideally, we want the running back to hit your flex. You're going to get more points that way. I still, even though I don't have a 5th guy, every week I'm going to have at least 3 guys to ensure that hopefully 2 good running back scores and potentially a flex score. Receiver room of Marv, Jameson, Williams, Mbuka, Higgins, Kirk. So I feel like, yes, I didn't get Nico, but between Higgins and Kirk, I should get usable weeks, most weeks from one of those 2. Cedric Tillman, Jalen Coker, and DeAndre Hopkins. So kind of like the young upside play, the savvy vet, part of a good offense. So I like that. And then, of course, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, and Harold Fannin. I think it's a decent tight end room. I don't love having 2 rounds necessarily, but I think it's fine. It does seem like they believe in Fannin, and given their lack of depth at wide receiver, I think it very well could be Fannin and Njoku out there a fair amount. I got Boston George here, 3-5-8-2, Hurts, McCarthy, Herbert, Saquon, Kyron Williams, Will Shipley, Keaton Mitchell, Blake Corum. So he went with a double anchor, got 2 of the LA pieces, got 2 of the Philly pieces, and then Baltimore piece. So, it's ensuring you have the Eagles backfield, most of the Rams backfield. It's an interesting approach. Usually I'd probably add a 6 running back for that approach, just because not only is it week 9 and week 8 are you like down to 3, only 3 backs, but or if this pick the odd man out, the guy who's not handcuffing, was a more clear starter, then I'd feel better about it. That's just me, just because I think you're really relying, saying the Eagles and Rams backfield, and hopefully every week those backfields are doing well, and I think most weeks that's going to be fine. But it just is slightly thinner than I would generally like. And, so it's one of those things like, I think I'd rather have a 6 back if the other back is not like a more secure starter. But, it could absolutely still pan out because, you're protected in case of injury. And there probably will be a few weeks, especially Shipley has some usable weeks in his own right. So receiver room, Ladd, DK Metcalf, Chris Olave, Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin, QJ, Quentin Johnston, Jalen McMillan, Dante Thornton. I mean, for me, with that much capital already invested in the receiver position, I probably would have pivoted one of McMillan or Thornton to the running back side. I do think early on it's a little thinner with Addison and Godwin. So maybe that was the reason why you went 8, just to help cover that. And in fact, I think that's probably why you went McMillan. And then Hawk, Gadsden. I don't know if Gadsden has a lot in the tank. I get that it's a stack. I think Hawkinson can just be your guy. So I think you're probably fine mainly with that. But Gadsden, I worry about how much upside is there for him. So, overall, your quarterback room is very strong. You have 2 anchor running backs, and they're both insured. You basically got insurance policies on the Philly and Rams rooms. The question is just if those teams have bad weeks or when they're on bye, you're just catching up. Hopefully this receiver room, and I think it could. I think the receiver room is very strong. Top 5 guys. I mean, Addison getting him at 76, Godwin at 93. Godwin was wide receiver 2 when he got hurt last year. You could be gaining just tremendous value as long as the injury is not a big factor. So I like you targeted a lot of good offenses and really stacked up some teams. And then Eddie was in here as well. I think that was it. Appreciate you guys drafting with me. We got Baker, Justin Fields. Like you said, he did double 9 bye weeks. Took Daniel Jones. Slight risk there as you just don't know if Jones will be starting then. So hopefully you're not taking the 0 then. But otherwise, I mean, those 2 quarterbacks are great. Dan Jones could be starting then and could start the majority of the weeks. I think there's a lot of chances of that happening. I like this running back room. Henry, Chase Brown, Warren Ford, Justice Hill. So 2 of the Baltimore pieces. Ford, Brown. I mean, you got the AFC North running back room here. I think it's really strong. Mike Evans, T-Mac, Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Rashid Shaheed, Keenan Allen, and Adam Thielen. Love that wide receiver room. Easily can stop at 7 there. And then 3 tight ends, Kincaid, Kate Otten, Mason Taylor. Really good group there as well. So, getting some nice value there. So thank you all for drafting with me. Let me just hit up chat before we get on out of here. And let's see. It's going to take Shador, but he's now week 9. I mean, to me, I think Shador's risky. I think maybe you get some weeks at the end there. But in non-Superflex, I don't know if he produces enough. If you really feel you need late season production, you can take a shot or 2 at Shador. I personally won't be. That's just me. Obviously, if you feel strongly. I think Flacco starts at least half the year, maybe more. Could be looking at back-to-back goose egg weeks at 8-9 at running back. Perhaps that RB strategy is best served with 2 quarterback bills. But yeah, and essentially that's what I said. Like with the 6 running back, or if the Mitchell pick was like a clear starting running back, then I'd feel better at it because then it's like you still have 2 starters. Question Dave, multiple goose or geese wire, multiple moose meats. Yeah. My top 2 running backs are great. Other 3 are shaky. Love my quarterbacks. Week 9 is going to suck. Wide receivers are old but gold. Yeah, no, the wide receivers are really strong. Stream trading my Bryce to I got your wide receivers. Yeah. Regret not taking May or Fields there. And that is, we all do that. I did a draft, a slow draft going, and I had Jaden Daniels and Justin Herbert fell 10, 12 picks back. It was like 137, whatever pick number in that range. And I had gotten Ladd in the 2nd round. And I was like, I'm taking Justin Herbert falling. Maybe it wasn't that many picks, but 9, 10 picks, whatever it was. They're both week 12. I ended up adding, I think, Sam Darnold, just giving myself another bye coverage. But yeah, it's like sometimes you can't pass it up. And Eddie saying, thank you, Steve, Fanspeak Network. But thank you, Eddie. No, really appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone in chat, everyone in the drafts. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for the comments after. We appreciate them all. And we will be back tomorrow. Meg and I will have Sean Mitchwan tomorrow evening. And then Andrew and I are going to be doing drafts after that. So hope everyone has a great day, great night. Continue drafting. Enjoy it. A couple more weeks, but a lot of fun. And I will catch you next time. Peace.